OMG, not the diddler going back to his old tactics of shaming and blaming Cassie in his latest appeal. Honestly, I was shocked when I read it. In Diddy's new version of events, he's painting Cassie as a money-hungry, jealous, and unfaithful person who betrayed his generosity. He claims that after paying for her personal trainer, she ran off, started a family with him, and then demanded a whopping $30 million to keep quiet. I'm not even kidding, this is exactly what's laid out in Diddy's new appeal for bail. Diddy's legal team is going all out, using language that eerily mirrors the courtroom descriptions from the infamous Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, where Depp eventually won in civil court. Surprisingly, this new approach is swaying some opinions, leading people to question if Cassie might have been dishonest and whether this appeal could actually help prove Diddy's innocence. It's honestly wild to think this is where things are heading. But before this latest strategy of attacking the accuser, Diddy had already tried appealing twice. In his first attempt, he even offered a $50 million bond in an effort to secure his release. Let's dive into the details. Because this story is far from over. In his previous appeal, Diddy offered a $50 million bond to secure his release, as detailed in a formal letter to the court. According to the proposal, several of his close family members were willing to act as co-signers for the bail, including his mother, his sister, the mother of his eldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. The bail package laid out strict conditions, stating that Diddy's travel would be restricted to Florida and New York, with movement only permitted for court appearances, meetings with his legal team, and medical appointments. Furthermore, the proposal emphasized that Diddy and his children had already taken the proactive step of surrendering their passports to his legal counsel after law enforcement raided his properties in Miami and Los Angeles. This move was intended to demonstrate his commitment to complying with any court-imposed restrictions and to minimize concerns about potential flight risks. However, despite this comprehensive bail package, Diddy's initial request was met with strong resistance from prosecutors. They remained unconvinced, arguing that the risk factors surrounding the case were too high for bail to be granted. This first appeal, despite the substantial bond offer and family support, ultimately did not succeed in swaying the court. Prosecutors have consistently expressed concern that Diddy, if released, could potentially intimidate witnesses and obstruct the ongoing legal case. They also pointed to his substantial wealth and access to private jets, arguing that he posed a significant flight risk. These concerns were central to their argument in opposing his bail. After a back-and-forth exchange between Diddy's defense team and the prosecutors, the judge ultimately denied his initial request for bail. This decision meant that Diddy would remain in custody and be sent to jail while awaiting trial, a significant blow to his legal team's efforts. Undeterred, Diddy's legal team filed a second appeal, which, much like the first, laid out similar arguments and conditions for his release. Once again, Diddy's team proposed stringent bail conditions, likely reiterating their commitment to limiting his travel and ensuring his compliance with the court's orders. However, the judge denied the second appeal as well, citing the same concerns. The judge ruled that the appeal was insufficient to guarantee the safety of the community or protect the integrity of the case. In essence, the court felt that the risk factors remained unchanged, and releasing Diddy could still jeopardize the investigation and trial. With both appeals rejected, Diddy's legal team shifted tactics, adopting a much more aggressive approach for their third attempt. They filed a third appeal for pre-trial release with the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. In this new appeal, they requested Diddy's immediate release on what they described as appropriate bail conditions, continuing to argue that the previous court decisions had been flawed. This time, the defense focused on what they claimed were several legal errors made by the lower court in denying Diddy's bail. First, Diddy's team contended that there was insufficient evidence to justify his continued detention. They argued that the prosecution's claims of Diddy being a flight risk or a threat to witnesses were overstated and lacked solid proof. They insisted that Diddy's wealth and access to private resources were not sufficient reasons to deny him his freedom, especially when his legal team was willing to impose strict bail conditions that would limit his movements and ensure his appearance at court. Moreover, they highlighted that Diddy is a 54-year-old father of 7, a U.S. citizen with strong ties to his family and community. His legal team argued that these factors make it unlikely that he would flee the country or violate any bail conditions imposed by the court. In addition, Diddy's legal team raised concerns about the court's handling of the case, suggesting that legal errors had been made during the initial bail hearings. They claimed that the court's decision to deny bail was based on flawed interpretations of the evidence and that Diddy's continued detention was not only unjust but also unnecessary. They argued that keeping him behind bars while awaiting trial was a violation of his rights, especially given the supposed lack of solid evidence against him. This third appeal reflects a more forceful and determined attempt by Diddy's team to secure his release, as they ramp up their efforts to challenge the court's rulings. However, the outcome of this appeal remains uncertain, and it is clear that both sides are preparing for an intense legal battle as the case continues to unfold. Whether this more aggressive approach will succeed where the previous appeals failed remains to be seen, but Diddy's defense is leaving no stone unturned in their fight for his freedom. Diddy's legal team highlights his status as an extraordinarily successful artist, businessman, philanthropist, and one of the most recognizable figures globally. They emphasize that he willingly traveled to New York to surrender, fully aware of the impending indictment, demonstrating his intent to face and contest the charges, not flee. His team noted previous cases, like those of Epstein, Maxwell, and Ryer, where judges provided detailed explanations for denying bail, as required by federal law section 3142. However, they argue that no such explanation has been given for Diddy's pretrial confinement. In their new appeal, they argue that they presented an extremely restrictive bail package, including home detention with GPS monitoring, no internet or phone access 24/7 supervision, and no female visitors except for family and the mothers of his children. Weekly testing was also proposed. Diddy's legal team further noted his full compliance with legal procedures, including surrendering his passport and offering to secure bail with his multi-million-dollar residence. They even stated that he put his private airplane up for sale to eliminate any flight risk. The lawyers also addressed the government's reliance on a widely publicized video from March 5, 2016, showing Diddy and Cassie at a hotel. Cassie's lawsuit claims that around this time, Diddy became extremely intoxicated, attacked her, and gave her a black eye. She alleged that when he fell asleep, she tried to leave, but he woke up and stopped her. Cassie's lawsuit describes a frightening scene where Diddy followed her into the hotel hallway, yelling at her. She claimed he grabbed her before throwing glass vases, causing them to shatter around her as she ran toward the elevator to escape. According to the lawsuit, Diddy later paid the Intercontinental Century City Hotel $50,000 for the hallway security footage. No one was prepared for the viral video of the incident. The footage shows Cassie heading to the elevators while Diddy, wrapped in a towel, sprints after her. He grabs her purse and suitcase from the floor near the elevators, then pounces on Cassie again as she lies on the ground, seemingly unable to move. After briefly grabbing her sweatshirt and dragging her toward a room, Diddy walks away. In her lawsuit, Cassie stated that she took a cab to her apartment, but later realized that her escape might only fuel Diddy's anger. This moment adds further weight to her allegations of fear and abuse within their relationship, which has become a focal point of her legal claims against Diddy. Cassie, feeling trapped in an abusive cycle, returned to the hotel intending to apologize to Diddy for running away. However, hotel security staff urged her to get back into the cab and go to her apartment, likely because they had already seen the disturbing security footage showing Diddy chasing her in the hallway. Despite this, Diddy's legal team has maintained that the couple shared a long-term, loving relationship that became strained due to mutual infidelity and jealousy, often leading to a toxic dynamic. Diddy's attorneys have argued that Cassie willingly participated in the freak-offs. She mentioned in her lawsuit, claiming that this was a mutual part of their intimate relationship. They assert that Cassie and Diddy frequently communicated about bringing third parties into their sexual encounters, and that there was no coercion involved. According to them, the appeal further claims that Cassie's lawyer demanded $30 million from Diddy in exchange for the rights to a tell-all book that she had written. After Diddy refused to pay, Cassie filed her lawsuit, which Diddy's team views as retaliation. This forms part of their broader attack the accuser strategy, a risky legal tactic given the serious nature of the case and the existence of a video showing Diddy's aggressive behavior toward Cassie. Critics argue that focusing on Cassie's sexual preferences rather than addressing Diddy's actions in the video may backfire. The footage of him behaving aggressively in the hotel hallway is damning, and the defense's attempts to link Cassie's allegations of abuse to her consensual sexual activities seem tenuous at best. Many question how her intimate preferences relate to the incident caught on camera. Moreover, Diddy's lawyers have raised concerns about alleged government misconduct, claiming that unlawful leaks regarding his grand jury and the March searches of his Miami and Los Angeles homes have prejudiced his case. They argue that these leaks have generated damaging pre-trial publicity, potentially tainting the jury pool and violating Diddy's right to a fair trial. As a result, they are demanding an evidentiary hearing to investigate the leaks. And they want the judge to impose a gag order on prosecutors and government officials to prevent further prejudicial information from being released. Diddy's legal team has taken an aggressive stance in their efforts to stop leaks to the media, specifically requesting that officials, particularly agents from the Department of Homeland Security (DHS), be ordered to hand over emails and documents related to the alleged leaks. They argue that DHS has been a key source of leaks that have prejudiced the case, although they also accuse prosecutors from the Department of Justice's U.S. Attorney's Office of failing to stop these leaks despite multiple private complaints from the defense. The defense claims that, regardless of what actions, if any, the U.S. Attorney's Office may have taken, the leaks persisted even after Diddy's arrest. They point to the fact that the media arrived at Diddy's Los Angeles home before crime scene tape was even put up as evidence of insider information being shared with the press. Furthermore, they describe the scale of the law enforcement presence during the searches of Diddy's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami, noting that over 50 agents were involved. They arrived in military-style armored vehicles and were fully armed. Despite the fact that the objective was simply to seize phones and computers, Diddy's legal team continues to argue that Homeland Security is the most likely source of the 2016 surveillance video that shows Diddy chasing Cassie in a hotel hallway, which became a pivotal part of the public narrative. They claim the video was strategically leaked on May 17th, a day when former President Trump's Manhattan hush money trial was on a break, allowing the video to dominate the news cycle. According to the defense, federal agents would have been aware of the slow news day, making it an opportune moment for the leak to gain maximum exposure. Additionally, Diddy's team has highlighted a specific leak that occurred just 3 days after his arrest. A Department of Homeland Security agent who participated in the Miami raid allegedly told the New York Post that Diddy had rooms in his properties that were clearly dedicated to intercourse and were outfitted with surveillance cameras. Diddy's defense argues that these ongoing leaks have severely damaged his chances of a fair trial by influencing public opinion against him. On the other hand, prosecutors have painted a much darker picture of Diddy's use of his vast business empire to facilitate his alleged crimes. They claim he used his resources to arrange flights for male escorts, maintain large quantities of lubricants and baby oil, and relied on employees to help cover up his misconduct. For example, they allege that Diddy's staff pressured hotel security to delete records of him attacking Cassie. Prosecutors also revealed that investigators are still extracting data from more than 40 of Diddy's electronic devices, including laptops, tablets, hard drives, and cloud accounts. They argue that additional evidence has been collected from third-party devices, financial institutions, phone companies, hotels, airlines, and other businesses, further strengthening the case against him. Even if Diddy produces counter evidence, prosecutors are confident that the wealth of information they are gathering will provide substantial proof of his involvement in the alleged crimes. In this heated battle between Diddy's defense and prosecutors, both sides are preparing for an intense legal showdown, with the leaks and evidence collection playing a central role in shaping the outcome of the case. The defense is arguing that even if evidence is presented showing that Cassie or other accusers gave consent, it wouldn't necessarily undermine the government's case. This is because, according to the prosecution, any consent that was given may have been coerced, which is central to the nature of the alleged crimes. Coercion in this context means that even if individuals outwardly agreed, their consent was manipulated or forced due to Diddy's power and influence over them. The situation is clearly intensifying. Diddy's new appeal and the accompanying motions have started to shift some public opinion, with a few people now questioning whether Diddy is truly the villain he's being or portrayed as. The appeal has raised questions about whether there have been unlawful leaks from federal agencies, particularly Homeland Security, that have led to damaging pre-trial publicity. The defense argues that these leaks, which may have tainted the jury pool, could prevent Diddy from receiving a fair trial. They assert that the ongoing media coverage influenced by these leaks could bias the public and potential jurors against Diddy. This raises critical questions. Have the federal government's alleged leaks unfairly swayed public opinion? Is this publicity compromising Diddy's right to due process? Furthermore, Diddy's defense strategy, which includes attacking Cassie's credibility and character, has sparked debate about whether this approach is helping or harming his case. While some may see the move as an attempt to expose flaws in the accusations, others might perceive it as a desperate and risky tactic that could backfire by casting Diddy in an even more negative light. Ultimately, the legal and public relations battle surrounding Diddy's case is far from over. Whether these arguments will sway the court or further complicate his defense remains to be seen. What do you think about the defense's strategy? Could it help or hurt Diddy's chances in court?